It's like the more complex the surface area of that logic is, the more opportunity there is for gaming and the reps trying to optimize for outcomes that aren't necessarily good. And so I'm curious if you've seen that firsthand or what your perspective is on that.
Absolutely. I've seen it plenty of times where, for example, one of the criteria may be if you sell this product with this attached to it. It all depends on how much autonomy you give your salesforce on pricing. I've been in companies where anything with a variance greater than 5% had to go to a pricing team to approve. I've been in companies where they had full autonomy to do what they want. The more autonomy they have, the more games they play. So they'll sell the thing with the attached thing you're looking for, but they won't charge for the attached thing. But it's on the contract, so they get a higher payout for the thing they were going to sell anyway. So now you're paying more money for essentially no growth.
Yeah.
Something that's not going to be used, which means we're probably not going to renew it or retain it, and you're not going to get whatever it is you're supposed to get out of that thing you want attached. You won't get it.
Or even worse, you sold something to a customer for like potentially the same revenue, but in fact, what you probably did is you devalued your core product because you just threw in a bunch of stuff for free.
Yeah.
How do you address that issue?
One example where I did something to solve this was I was at a company where they were selling contracts for upfront contract value, right? And these were large 10, $20 million contracts, right? So it sounded great because they were constantly overachieving as a group their contract value number every year. But given the terms we have to give out and given the discounts we give and the things that we throw in there for free, we're actually losing money on a lot of these contracts. So it looks great that we're overachieving the booking number. I say booking, it wasn't a software SaaS company, but we're actually losing money on a lot of these contracts. So that's what I talked about. What's the end goal? I said, well, till now, you've told them the end goal was to grow the year-over-year contract value. That's what they've done, right? If the end goal is you want to grow the contract value, but want the contract to look like this or have this kind of health in it, we need to pay for that, right? Not pay more. It's just saying we're saying now that simply growing the annual contract value is not worth what it was worth in the past. And I'll make this example up. So we said, okay, just on the contract value alone, we're going to pay 50% of what we used to pay for that. Now, if payment terms are 60 days or less, we'll pay another 20%. If the contract has a new product line that they didn't have in the past, talk about the products that the senior leadership wants to get going, right? We'll pay another 20%. So it's basically different attributes of the contract would get you to. And then we kind of looked at, okay, if somebody sold all this last year of what we want, what would they make? And we made sure that if they did the same thing this year the way we wanted, we'd pay 20% more than it would have made last year on it. So it's saying, I'll still pay you on it, but you're not going to make as much because the contract for us has these attributes in them. And if you get all the attributes, you'd make more this year than you would have last year.
Yeah, that translation is really important. The top performers usually dissect the plan and understand it, but for the average, that mid, which makes up the majority of your revenue, getting them to understand like that translation of doing X behavior would have paid you this much last year, and this is what it's going to do this year.